Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Phone a Friend News with the Ambassadors of Gaming. I'm one of your two hosts, Chris.
And I'm Michael.
And today we have a little bit of a different news. It's not so much news as much as it is. We're going to do a comparison from the current standpoints of Destiny and the Division. Now, keep in mind, a lot of this could change. This is very early, especially since we're considering the Destiny with the Taken King,
Hmm.
and the Division is
Just
still just out
vanilla.
the door.
Yeah, it's just vanilla,
Yeah.
the division.
We're basically just going to discuss the major features and see what the Division got right, what Destiny's is doing right, and yeah.
Yeah,
Just
we're just gonna do it.
disclaimer though, naturally, I would be a little biased toward the Division just because I am so sick of playing the same strikes and raids over and over and over again. But I'm going to do my best to keep it neutral. Um, but the first thing we're going to talk about is gameplay.
Hmm.
And from the gameplay standpoint, this is essentially the way you play the game. It definitely involves a cover system, which, some people don't like it because a lot of people don't like the feeling of having to almost like they have to fit into
Space. I don't know.
what's the thing I'm looking for? Um, I guess I don't like the game telling them what to do.
Yeah, I guess.
They if they want to hide behind something, they'll go hide behind something. They don't need to go up and they can do their own crouching, but this is all from a third person perspective.
Hmm.
Um, it's definitely something new.
Yeah, I mean it.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like Gears. A lot of people I know that play Gears say it feels like Gears. It's not as Gears has this weird magnetic quality to it when you go into cover. Like in the division, you have to be actually standing next to cover if you're not already in cover to select cover. Whereas
yeah.
Gears, you could be, probably 3 feet away in game and just
All of a sudden,
slide.
just whoosh.
Yeah, and just slide right into cover, which is what a lot of people do. They'll slide into cover and then they'll roll. I don't know what it's actually called, but they'll take a shotgun, go into cover, they'll slide, roll, slide into cover, and they'll just come down a hallway like this at you and just
Yeah.
zigzag and fucking shoot you.
This
So,
is a this is a very opinionated part.
mm,
Um, we can say whether we like it or we don't, but that doesn't exactly make it right. Um, for me, I think that the tactical feel to it, of having to use cover in a smart way, adds something to the game
mm,
rather than just running out there, burying your gun and hoping you don't
hoping for the
die,
best.
especially with those snipers. So the point for me, this is kind of a little bit of a tie. Because I am good at first person. Excuse me. I'm used to first person. Um, the third person is something new and nice, so I kind of gave the point to both.
Could I ask you something? Could you quickly
Sure.
move your mic closer to you? You are very faint. I know it's the auto adjustment, but
How about now?
that's a little bit better.
How about now?
That's really good. There's no I I'm not gonna do points, but if you want to do points, we can. It Destiny plays like an FPS. It plays like a good FPS. They even said the way they configured everything was specifically because that was like when people were playing it, they just said it's fun to play, just the way the buttons work and everything. Um, so they got most of it right, and then I feel the division got it right with a lot of stuff. The problem is some of those corners people get caught on and shit. Uh, I had it happen to me once or twice. It happens to a lot of people I know that play the division. They just get caught on shit. Like when you're trying to turn a corner real fast, your shoulder will catch it. Like your in-game character will catch it, and then they just can't move. So,
I find myself having issues with the cover system as well. When you have an uneven cover, a lot of times where you're shooting where you should be, you're shooting above the ledge, so your bullet should be going, but it acknowledges the wall as a flat top.
mm-hmm.
So this airspace in between
Is not.
is actually considered a wall,
Yeah,
even it looks like air. So
it
I'll
has
be
physical
essentially,
properties.
yeah, it has physical properties. The art doesn't exactly match up with
Yeah,
the
that's weird.
actual tiles. for a barrier.
And like stairs, you
But a lot
can't
of this
walk downstairs in cover.
a lot of this still I contribute to the game being new, and I'm sure they will fix a lot of that.
Mm,
That's why I'm not coming down too harshly on them yet.
yeah. Like if it's like a year in
Uh,
and they still haven't fixed them, like, come on, get your shit together. What are you doing?
exactly. So, Mike, where do you give a point? Would you give this to Destiny, The Division, or both?
Well, if we're yeah, I'll just go with it being just the straight gameplay. And I have a separate subcategory with the controller scheme. Um, I would say I give them both points. They both do what they're supposed to pretty well. I mean, they both have their takes. Like it's really hard to get cover when you're in Destiny because of the first person nature. There's no snap, so like you just have to hide behind a wall and hope you don't get hit. Um,
Yeah.
Whereas the Division, that still happens. If you're not standing up, like if your character isn't standing up, you're most likely not completely in cover, and you still can get hit. Um, so I mean, they both do. So 1-1. They both do well.
And anything about controller scheme?
Oh yeah, I want to talk about the controller scheme. So
We can basically add it into this
yeah,
portion.
yeah. The so Destiny's controller scheme's fine for the most part. Um, but for me specifically,
If you say the thing I think you're gonna say, I'm gonna love you forever.
I think it's kind of stupid that the emojis are linked to the D-pad, and I kind of think it's stupid that the sometimes the melee is linked weird. The melee is just linked weird.
The melee is totally stupid in Destiny. I don't realize what they were thinking, linking the melee with a grenade.
Are you talking about the smoke bomb
Wait, which
specifically
one are
for
you
the hunt?
talking?
I'm just talking about how it's weird for R1 to be melee. Usually it's right stick.
It is right stick. I'm talking about how I hate it being merged with another thing.
Oh well, the grenade's left, isn't it?
Oh, what am I thinking then? I could have sworn
It's the
grenade.
smoke. It's the smoke bomb. I think is what you're thinking of. Because when you play as a hunter and you use the smoke bomb, if you're too
Oh, and the throwing
close,
knife too.
yeah, if you're too close, it melees with a stab instead of using the actual melee, which puts you at a disadvantage because it's a regular melee attack instead of a special melee attack. So you do way less damage.
And there are times when I'm close to someone and I try and melee them and I throw my throwing knife.
Yeah, and sometimes you throw your throwing knife. If you're not, if the camera's not aimed correctly, it won't work right.
Yeah,
Um, but
can't
that doesn't ever happen. I
cannot
mean,
stand that.
and sometimes it happens to me when I play as a Titan. Like I can be literally right in front of somebody and just like try to be punching them, and my character's just not doing it. They just won't punch them. Like the
Yeah,
animation happens, but it doesn't actually hit them, um, which is weird. I think that might just be an issue with the online part, but
yeah.
um, I just think that the Division's controller scheme is a little bit better because the grenades are linked to the D-pad. You still have emojis. Emojis are linked to the down on the D-pad, and then you just cycle through them with the stake. Um, and but the grenades are linked to that. The healing items, which Destiny doesn't even have. There's no healing items
Yeah.
at all. The closest thing we have to a healing item is the Titan's bubble. That's really it. We have nothing else. Like if you're low on health and you have no cover, you're fucked. You're dead. Sorry. Um, and then what was I gonna say about that? There's multiple different grenades. The grenades aren't specifically linked to your class, which I mean is my preferred. That's just a preference of mine.
We'll
There's
get to
only
classes later.
yeah, but there's only one grenade type basically. I just think the controller scheme set up a little bit different. Like the right stick is used to melee and zoom in, right? Or left stick is melee in the Division.
Right stick is melee, I believe.
Right stick is melee. Left stick is the zoom in.
Left stick is to run.
So oh, when you're aiming down sights, if I think it's right stick then
Yes.
to zoom in if you have a scope. So you can't go
Yeah,
first
you
person.
click R3 to get it to zoom in.
Yeah,
However, um, it is not real first person.
yeah, no, it's
All it
not.
all it does is it's still from the exact same distance perspective you are at, the exact same recoil, the exact same everything. The only difference is you're looking down a scope.
Yeah, You're literally
Um,
looking down a scope.
you're looking down a scope, but it is quite literally no different
Yeah, that's
than
just if you're preferred.
than
It works
third
for
person.
snipers
It's
better sometimes.
yeah, so that you have a more clear picture of what's in front of you, aside
Hmm.
with your guy out of the way. But the reality is, it is a false hope. It is
Yeah,
not really
it's kind
first
of a
person.
crappy first person, but it's there if you want it.
Exactly, it's there. Just it's
But
not
it's way too
supposed
much
to
of a
be the thing.
pain because every time you run out of ammo, you got to reload, and then it takes you out of first person again. So it's really only worth your
Yeah.
time to do it with a sniper.
Um, and so, which point would you give gameplay to?
Gameplay, eh, I would give half. If we're gonna do it on the
I gave
controller
one to
setup
both.
too,
I gave 1 point to both
uh,
because
yeah.
both of them kind of
Are we including the controller setup in gameplay?
yes.
I would give Destiny half a point because it nails gameplay, but the control scheme I don't necessarily like. And then the Division I would give a point because I like the way both are set up.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you because I do not like the controls in Destiny.
I'm gonna keep track of this real quick.
Yep, I've already got mine up. All right,
Very
next
nice.
portion for me was side questing for both games. Um, from what I can tell, unless there's something that I've seen, aside from your regular missions and side missions, which you get, um, do side missions replenish? I don't think I've played enough to see if
No,
side
what
missions
happens
replenish.
is in the Division you get encounters from. I don't know if side missions work this way, but encounters you get from both safe houses and when you're just running around in the world. You
Yeah,
know how that'll happen? It'll just say new encounter out of nowhere. They just kind of happen randomly. So
yeah,
there's a little bit of both, but I mean they kind of randomly pop up, but I don't think they replenish. I
yeah.
think once you've
Side
done one, it's done.
once side missions are done, they're the big thing is for the division is after you get through the main game, all you kind of have to do is wander in the dark zone and encounters. Unfortunately, as of right now,
Hmm.
um,
The dark
but
zones
I'm
just to
not.
get better loot. So
Yeah, I'm not coming down too heavily on the division for this because it sounds like another game
well, that
we're talking about right now.
well to be
Um,
fair, they're doing the same thing Destiny did. They're
yeah,
releasing the raid after the game came out, so we will get a raid
well, they're
next
giving
month.
everyone a chance to get to that level first. There's no
Yeah,
reason having the game when they can just release it.
true.
Um, but Um, unfortunately, really good games, like we said in our previous video, is that if a game is really good, then people will expect something good really fast. Like
Yeah,
they're like, okay, I want
we
more, I want it
we
now.
burn through shit. Just like
Exactly.
that's why I'm taking it
Especially you.
slow. Yeah, well, that's why I'm taking it slow. I'm only level 19 or 20, so
I think I'm level 18 or 19, if I
yeah. And
remember correctly.
honestly, I could have blown through the Division in the first week it came out, but I didn't
Yeah.
because I want to enjoy it.
Mike lied to me and told me he got through the Taken King in the first 8 hours. He got through the main story. He didn't do
Yeah,
all of the side missions.
well, yeah, it would take me like 48 hours to probably do everything if you don't
Bastard.
include the ones that are like, well, you have to wait a couple days or you have to wait a week to do this or that. You know what I
It's
mean?
come from the guy. I'm probably not even gonna play it when it comes out.
And then I played
The
it.
day it comes out, I'm playing it. It's like the minute it's
I
out, it's
was up
done.
at
Done.
4 a.m. What else was I gonna do at 4 a.m.?
Sleep is one of the first thing that comes to mind.
Why would I sleep?
Um,
That's stupid.
but so side questing and encounters. One thing though that the division has is that I guess through wandering you'll always get more and more encounters with the
Mm,
potential to get really good stuff just from roaming around. And Destiny, unfortunately, doesn't really have that. The closest thing they had to that were the roaming wolves in
mm.
House of Wolves, and
Well,
even then, you probably wouldn't get anything super good.
to be fair, I would classify anything for Destiny outside of the main story arc with the cutscenes, I guess, as a side mission. The other quests, they're not mandatory. They're just kind of there.
I'm grouping side questing as going into a main air into the open area,
Oh,
not
okay,
doing
okay, like patrols.
yeah,
Okay, okay.
exact yeah. like in the patrol area, not so
Okay.
much.
Yeah, I guess technically it would be like a mission
Yeah,
because they're usually meteor. Yeah, usually all you get is patrols, and it's like I only do patrols to complete bounties,
yeah.
and even then, I don't even do that anymore.
So I'm going to give both of them a half a point for this, just because there's not really a whole lot to do,
Hmm.
unfortunately. But I mean, they can only make so much content. It's not so much their fault as it is gamers are generally impatient. It is not so much either game's fault, except when Bungie and Activision take their sweet ass time to release something, go like no other games are competing with us. We don't have to worry. And then the division comes out, all of a sudden they're like,
Oh fuck, we
"Hey
gotta release
guys,
shit.
we're gonna do an update.
And live streams every day, fucking week.
Yeah,
Um,
don't forget about us."
I have a question for you.
Yes,
In the fairness of this discussion, so the side missions in the division they reward you with blueprints.
I believe so.
Okay, and the quests in Destiny that aren't main story arc, they also provide you with rewards, but they're usually not as good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, so my question for you is that its own separate thing, or do we include those in side mission?
Um, side missions in Destiny are way different than side missions in the Division.
Okay.
Side missions in Destiny are still whole missions usually.
Yeah.
There's only a few that are like really drastically short, as opposed to side missions usually stay in one, kind of small area. There's not really much detail. You're not going into an area you've never been into before. It's just kind of like out in the open stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would side missions are still classified for me at least under missions in general for Destiny.
Okay. I was just curious because the I would recognize something the other day. The blueprints that you get from the the side missions, they scale with your level.
Yeah.
So like when you level up, you can go back and do a blueprint you already did and just get a better version of that gun, which is good to know because I had a pretty nice pistol and then I leveled up and I got a blue pistol which was better than my purple one, so I just said fuck the purple one.
Wait, I thought if you did a side mission, you can't redo it.
No, 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 the blueprint you get when you
Oh,
go to craft at the crafting table when you level up, the blueprint's damage and attributes scale with your level.
oh, okay,
So they do more damage the higher level you get.
okay. So you should craft later in your level then.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it. I mean, if it's better than what you have, the reason that's why I was asking because if we were to include that, the rewards of that in there, I would give 1 point to them for side missions. But if we're not including the rewards part of that, then I would probably give them both 5 because once you beat them, that's it.
Well, rewards are something separate. In fact, we can get to that right now.
Okay,
The next part is looting. Um,
loot.
loot. We've all heard the Destiny jokes. Like it shows like an hour of playing Borderlands, and it shows like this dude like holding a huge bunch of glowing stuff,
Yeah,
and it says an hour playing Destiny, and he's holding like two blue engrams. Um, Destiny is notorious for not dropping loot,
and not
giving
dropping
you
good loot.
very weak loot, um, particularly in raiding.
Yeah. My question is loot. When we talk about loot, we're just going to talk about loot and rewards as a whole thing.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah,
Um,
because early on, both games seem to drop you decent stuff, but and I can't speak for the division because we haven't gotten there yet, where we're at the highest level. But it seems to do the same thing Destiny did, where I level up and then I get a decent piece of gear. I level up, I get another decent piece of gear, and I keep being able to kind of just gradually swap them out. But in Destiny, when you get to get top level gear, you got to do the raid 8 or 9 times. If you're lucky, you get max. If you're not lucky, you're fucked, and you're like 2 points below max level, and you got to
yeah,
do it again. So I mean, that's my complaint. I get it; they want you to go through the loot cycle, but it's
but
just
the
a
thing
personal
is
complaint.
that forcing players to do the raid a bunch of times, trying to get that perfect 320 gear is um
Bothersome.
is bothersome. Which brings me to another point. Um, there is evidence through both Dark Zone and in-story gameplay. There are two separate routes to getting max level gear,
Okay.
um, which is a huge deal because there was that controversial thing like, well, for example, Mike's girlfriend, she plays Destiny. She's not the best at PvE, but she's pretty good at Crucible.
Yeah.
Um, and I am vice versa. I am absolutely terrible at the Crucible, but fare pretty well in PvE.
Hmm.
So it's nice to have multiple routes of getting yourself to that highest level
Hmm.
possible.
Destiny's been trying to do it lately, but there's no constant. Like they do an event here and there where they're like, "Oh, we'll give you a 320 piece here and there." Sometimes the Iron
Yeah,
Banner drops 320 if you're really lucky.
it's possible, but the point I'm trying to make is that it's all. Yeah, I guess you're right. But
It's
Iron Banner
possible.
isn't easy.
Yeah, yeah, Iron Banner. Like if you're not already 310 or up, you're screwed. So
And there's no predictability to it. You could get like a
yeah,
piece of 290 armor or 320 armor.
yeah, exactly. There's no
Like
rhyme or reason for it. It's
there's
just
there's
RNG.
there's no oh my gosh, that infamous what was it, Mike? What did we play? We all played Nightfall. We played the Nightfall a few weeks back and I got an exotic and you and Rhiannon got nothing and I was the lowest on the leaderboard.
Yeah,
Like
there's no rhyme or reason for anything. They said they tweaked it months and months and months ago, where if you're in first place, that you'll get better rewards. But I find that to be completely baloney. I feel like somebody did it, and when they coded it, they fucked it up, and they like swapped it, so the person who's bottom just gets the best rewards. Because all the time I'm seeing people on bottom get exotics. I think maybe once or twice I've ever seen anybody in top three get exotics. It's usually top bottom or the bottom tier people
yeah.
getting exotics, and it's like, so then why do good? Why do
Yeah.
good if I don't get rewarded? What's the point?
And also the division has a lot of loot and loot is
Too much
everywhere.
sometimes.
Absolutely everywhere. I'm finding myself clearing my bag very often. Any mission, side mission, or anything. It doesn't even have to be in a mission. You could just find a
Hmm.
bag just sitting somewhere randomly, and it can contain good stuff. At least at the level I'm at now.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, there's chess, which Destiny
yeah,
does. I mean, they have chess, but they're in the raid. You could only
yeah,
do them in the raid, so that doesn't help me when I'm out and about, just fucking
yeah,
around trying to kill aliens and shit.
yeah.
Um,
Um, so for when it comes to loot and rewards, I'm going to give a full point to the division,
okay,
and I'm going to give half a point to Destiny.
seems fair. That's what I would probably say. To be
Um,
fair, again, these are like our early impressions, so I mean,
exact
if the raid
as
comes out and then like you have to do the same shit you do to Destiny, it's gonna be like, well, you get half a point too.
yeah. And Mike brought up a really good point. As we first talked about this, but when it was close to its release, we discussed how a lot of people feel like if the division takes the same path Destiny takes, where DLC takes forever, and there's not, once you get to a certain point, it doesn't really have much value to play. It'll be a switch off. It wouldn't surprise me if the game's released at or the DLC released at separate times.
Mm-hmm.
So you would play through Destiny, and then when Destiny's dead, the Division DLC will come out, and vice versa.
To be fair, when Destiny came out in the first year, they only released two expansions. That was all they
If you
announced.
recall,
Yeah, I mean,
they were very little.
yeah, true, but they were something to slightly satisfy you. At least the Crota one had a raid, so that was something. But the
I
arena
would
one
say
kind of
Prison
sucked.
of Elders wasn't easy though.
No, it wasn't easy at all. It was
It may
difficult. It
not
was a
it
different.
may not have it may not have been a raid, but it was definitely a challenge.
Yeah,
You really, especially when you earned that piece of etheric light, like
if you got it.
it was hard to carry someone through that considering you are a team of three.
Yeah, exactly. Um, where was I going with this? Oh, but the division has three planned for the year. If they stick to all three, good for them. They got one planned for June or July, I think. Then they got one planned for the fall, and then they got another one before the end of the year. So, and
Sure you got those months right?
yeah,
That seems pretty dense to have one come out in fall and one before the end of the year.
that's what it. Hold on one second.
I mean, you're probably right. That sounds really dense for
Yeah.
release. It
Well,
wouldn't surprise me if like one was released in June, one was released in like maybe
September and another one in December.
yeah, somewhere around there.
All right, so let's see. I'm trying to fucking scroll down, but it's this thing's being a bitch. That doesn't help me. I want to know when. I'm pretty sure they talked about it being. They're all this year. I know that for sure. I'm pretty sure the timing is. Uh, I can't find it right now, but maybe this is it. They all have Xbox One exclusivity too, or the first two do. They have 30-day
Ooh, that
exclusivity.
reminds me. I should tell the internet your sin.
We'll go for it.
So the main people that we play with are Mike, myself, and our friend Justin, who used to join us in our previous podcast. Um, so I brought up to Mike, since it's console exclusive, or since the console or the big exclusives go to the Xbox. Um, I said, "Hey Mike, why you just got an Xbox One? Why don't we get it for the Xbox?" He was like, "No, I want it for PS4." And I was like, "Well, I could fight him on it, but he probably won't change his mind." So I was like, "Okay, we'll get it for PS4." And then Justin informs me when we were playing the other day, he was like, "Yeah, I told Mike I wanted to get it for Xbox too." So we had a 2-to-1 vote, and Mike was of course that guy and went, "No, I'm doing it for PS4. And if you
No,
guys want to play with me, you got to get it on PS4," which
no,
makes me want to strangle.
I'm
I
not
almost said straddle.
not gonna do it.
It makes me want to strangle him.
So I found the things. The first one will come out on Xbox in June. It'll come out on PC and PS4 in July, and then the next one is set to launch in summer with no specific date, and then the last one is set to arrive in winter.
Hmm.
So it sounds like
Okay.
July, probably September, and then probably before the end of the year. Um,
Uh,
which doesn't help Destiny because they said they have a new expansion coming this year, so if they release expansions kind of near each other, it might butt some heads,
they
you know what I
better have
mean?
a new expansion coming this year. They've had if they don't have one come this year, they will go a full year. I mean, it's one thing if a game like Call of Duty, it comes out yearly, and after its map packs, it's just kind of dead,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of dead after the second one.
beating a dead horse.
Yeah. Like the second one comes out and everybody's like,
Yeah,
"Cool, map packs." And then after that it's like, I got other games to play." It's cuz the second one comes out in like
yeah.
March, February, something
Uh,
around there.
and I feel like Bungie having an unrealistic view of playing Destiny. Like,
They do.
they genuinely are like, hey, like if they were to knock on my door, go, "Hey, what are you doing?" "Oh, I'm playing some. I'm just to watch you. Why don't you play some Destiny?" Well, I already did the raid this week and did a few strikes. Well, you could do the daily story. I'm like, yeah, but I do that like I'm kind of burnt out from Destiny. Oh, but there's Iron Banner. There's Iron Banner. Dude, you got trials. Well, like it's like the Jehovah's Witnesses. Like they're gonna haunt you at your door.
It's true. Cuz
My goodness.
I don't know.
Which
I think their plans fell apart, but
to our next point. For me, Grimoire cards versus in-game content like the cell phones.
and the
I'm a little
Echoes.
bit torn on this. I am very torn on this. For those of you that do not know about Destiny's development, Destiny was developed for almost 8 years. It was like there were hints to it
Mhm.
in
Reach.
Halo 3 ODST.
Oh, ODST. Yeah, yeah. That was it.
ODST when this game was in development. And in doing so, one thing is really clear. Even if you do not like the gameplay, the lore, the story is absolutely amazing. When you take the time to actually look into the Grimoire cards, you learn so much. The actual game only looks at such a small scope Oh, I never thought I'd make that gesture on camera. Would make is make such a small scope of everything that's going on. You learn what the Fallen really are. You learn interesting things. Like, did you know the only reason that the Fallen are on Earth is because they had the Traveler before humanity did? The Traveler abandoned their home planet, and they had their version of the collapse called oh, what did they call it? The typhoon or something. I don't remember exactly what it's called,
Okay.
but they have a word for it.
Hmm.
Or you learn Oryx is actually like a scientist. Oryx is a really, really, really smart person, and to a point, he kind of forced to do what he does. It you learn so many
He's
things. You
also
learn about
transgender.
he is transgender. That's right.
He's also transgender.
I'll just do a really brief one. Her at the time, or Raj was her name, and her two sisters um, had these worms kind of merge with them. And these worms kind of, they're like, we need more and more darkness to survive. And so
Hmm.
they just have to keep killing and killing and killing. And basically, they are slaves to these worms. It's one of those things where it's like, they put the fish on, they put the bait on the lure, and then
Hmm.
once the fish bit, all of a sudden it's regretting it.
Yeah.
To the point where Raj's worm was like, you know what, you're gonna be a dude now.
Yeah, the worm just kind of changed who they were, what they did.
Hmm.
Um,
Uh, and part of that, you even see journal entries talking about the touch of malice. If you know what the touch of malice is, it's the weapon at the end that is basically made of a part of Oryx. His
mhm.
heart is the power core, and there's a journal entry saying something like, sooner or later, and this is from Oryx, saying, sooner or later someone's going to come by and they're going to have a stronger will to live than I do. And he basically is writing down his prediction that someone is eventually going to kill him and he's going to become a weapon and live forever. Like,
Hmm.
but I'm going on a tangent. The lore in Destiny, even though it's hard to find, is absolutely beautiful. It is a great story.
You just prove a small point that I have to make though about the Grimoire cards. Is
Hmm,
there's very few people that even know what the fuck you're talking about
exactly.
because no one wants to read them. It's
No
not that
one, no,
it's not that they're not good. No one just cares. No one wants to leave the game, go to my computer and
exactly.
search it up and look.
I
Like,
see what they're trying to do. They're trying to expand. They're trying to expand Destiny past just a game. They want you to go like, oh, I'm going to go on the computer. I'm going to read about this. I'm going to see the story behind this. That's what they want. Unfortunately, that is a different turnout.
I have always asked, even from the very beginning, like when I first realized what the fuck Grimoire cards were, because nobody really, the game doesn't tell you what it is. It just says more information at Bungie.com or whatever. And I was like, well, I'm not fucking going to the website. I don't care. It just give me an in-game encyclopedia if you're not going to make cutscenes or you're not going to give the information to me through
Yeah,
vocal lines. Uh, because then people wouldn't shit all over you for having a crappy story. You know what I mean? Like the original Destiny wouldn't have had such a shitty story if you had told us shit in the Grimoire cards, or at least let me read them in game. That's my biggest complaint. Is the Division when you're going around and you're doing shit, you find an echo, you watch the echo, and then it shows you what happened in the city, what was happening with people,
yeah.
and it's like that's really cool. I like that. I'm not saying you got to go give me holographic images and shit. Just give me an in-game encyclopedia of the Grimoire cards.
One thing that I do have to give Destiny credit for is they have their story written out, and now they're basically just their story is so huge they're just reaching at different things in the story
Mm-hmm.
to make content about. Like you read about in a lot of people forget is that one of the first missions in the main game you go to a place called the Shrine of Oryx.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the
Yeah.
Temple of Crota and they talk about like hive gods. They give you hints at a lot of things.
Yeah.
Um, but definitely I'm going to
From
for the action. It's one thing to have good lore. It's another thing though to not really have all that much access to it. So once again, I'm going to give half a point to. I don't know.
best
I'm going to
half.
give them.
Fuck, you can give Destiny 0.75 if you want. I don't give a fuck.
No, I'm gonna give them both 1 point, just because the story is absolutely beautiful. It's just they implemented it in a poor way.
Hmm.
Um, but you have to give them credit for you can tell, at least from a story standpoint, that that game was in development for a very long time.
To be fair, part of that was because they blew up the story.
Yeah, they did.
They had their story, and then somebody came in and said, "No, fuck this story. We don't like this story. Fuck this. Do it again." I was like, "Well, goddamn, just chill." um, I'm gonna give it 0.5 for Destiny only because of the Grimoire taking me the fuck out of the game. That's the only reason. If it wasn't, I'll give it a 1. To be fair, the Division's backstory, probably not a lot of people give a shit about either. But at least I can access it if I want to.
Yes, you do have access, and they're little fun Easter eggs. I sent
Yeah.
Mike a picture
Of
uh,
Breaking Bad.
of yesterday. There's a Breaking Bad reference they talk about. I think in an echo you find someone named Jonathan Pinkman, and it says he's unemployed and that he has a criminal record. And then next to him it says there's a person listed as deceased. I think his name was Walden White.
Yeah,
Walden White. It
something
said
like
he
that.
was a chemistry teacher, and that he operated a car wash.
Uh,
So those are very clear. Nice little Easter eggs they put in there. Some pop culture. I think that's kind of cool.
yeah, I like that. And I like the phone recordings. Like, because sometimes they're like, the phone recordings aren't necessary in any way because they're backstory about other people's shit most of the time. Like I got one
Yeah,
the other day about some dude that got out of prison and then went back to prison because he was trying to do an illegal job, and he went into a urinal, went to a urinal where a cop was, and his gun and his package fell out in the urinal, and the cop arrested him. And then they're laughing on the phone about it, like, man, that's classic. That's dude. It's like those just sounds like shit he does, and I'm like, I don't know these people. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but that shit was kind of funny. I was like, that entertained me for a good 30 seconds. I'm okay with this.
right.
So, I mean, some people might not feel that way, but that's how I feel. I like that you gave me the incentive to find these things and hear what's going on with the world and what happened before. Because it's one of those games very much like Destiny where they don't tell you jack shit about what happened before. They're just kind of like, here you go. You're right in the
Yeah.
fucking middle of it now. So that kind of stuff gives me the backstory of what the fuck happened. So yeah, 0.5 for Destiny, 1 for Division. That's how I'm going
All
with this one.
right. And then the next part is definitely the open world. Planets versus having one city. Um, Now, at least for me, I had to think about this one. Yes, there are various planets. Um, but aside from your missions, there's not really much to explore.
No.
Once you go through, it's once you go through everything, I've already memorized my way around almost every single planet on
Mm-hmm.
Destiny. Don't even get me started on Earth. Um, but in this city, I feel like there's always something new to find because it is a densely, densely packed uh, open world. Are you all right?
I was asking my girlfriend to give me my juice. I was trying not to distract.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Um, but I feel like you can never really find everything there is to find.
Mm-hmm.
It is a huge, really dense open world area
Mm-hmm.
based off of real world New York, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
It is based off of that. It's not one by one, but it's not loosely based. It's got some shit from New York, and then it's got some shit not from New York, obviously because of copyright and shit like that. What? Can you please just get my juice? It should be over there. Thank you. Sorry, there we go. I ruined it.
Yeah, way to go, man.
I was trying not to be a dick and just take away from the experience, which is what I wanted to talk about with Destiny. The I like the way the Division's map is set up because I can just go anywhere the fuck I want for the most part. Obviously, there's some parts that I shouldn't go because they're higher level and shit, but I can go if I want to. Whereas the Division's
Yeah.
or Destiny's like, no, you can't go here yet. We haven't told you you can go here. You can't go here. Division's like, you want to go here? Go ahead. You'll probably die, but you can go here if you want. And there's just a fluid motion about the map. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I want to go do a mission. I just outside of fast traveling, like if I'm near a mission or I'm like I want to go to this mission, but there's a bunch of side missions next to it. I'll go do a side mission, do an encounter, then I'll come back to the mission, and I feel like I've just done a bunch of shit without ever having to leave the experience. Whereas Destiny, it's like, well, I gotta go do shit for the Crucible. I gotta go do shit on Mars. I gotta go do shit on Earth. I gotta go do this. To be fair, there's no way for you to make a fluid motion between planets unless you use the Vex gates. You could do that if you really, really wanted to stretch it out. But
Are you talking about in the raid?
no, no, I'm talking about if in Patrol they just had active Vex gates and you just went through a Vex gate and say you're on Mars, you go to a Vex gate, you land on Venus.
I guess that is
It
definitely a stretch.
yeah, it's a stretch. There's no real way to like sync it up. But my biggest complaint is just there's no fluid motion. Like I can't just drop down on Venus and then be like, all right, I'm gonna go do a patrol. Then I'm gonna go do this thing I need to do for an objective. Then I'm gonna go do this mission. Then I want to go do a strike. No, every time I do that, I have to back out, go to a loading screen, load back into it, load back out, load back in. And it's like it's just so much work. I understand it's hard to make that shit fluid, and I'm kind of just being a brat about it. It's like, well, they can do it. Why can't you? Like I know I'm being hard on them,
That
but
is very bratish.
I know
Um,
I'm being spoiled about it. But it's just a complaint I have.
um, I'm going to give them both half a point. I'm giving Destiny the benefit of the doubt because, for having at the time, they did have a very they were kind of the first console MMO, or at least the one as big as it is right now,
Mm-hmm.
as big as it
Well, there
was.
was DCUO, and then Elder Scrolls came out after, I think.
Yeah. But the thing is that they have stuff they could learn. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
giving them both half a point for that. Um, all right, and then my next point,
Yeah.
which is definitely I think the biggest, um, or the last point at least on my chart, is replay value.
Okay.
Um, and this is a big deal, and the first thing I'm going to go to is characters in Destiny. You can have multiple characters in both games, but for at least from what I can tell, there's not really much of a point in the division.
No, not really. The only
You're
reason you would do that is to, like, say you have some buddies that just bought it, then you go and you make a new character and you play with them if you really wanted to,
Yeah,
until they can get to your level, then you just switch back over to your main character. But other
yeah.
than that, I mean, there's no real reason to.
However, in Destiny, you've got the special abilities of the Warlock, the Titan, the Hunter,
Mm-hmm.
so that there is some replay value there. It's still very bothersome to go through everything. However, this is for me. I have my main character is a Hunter,
Do you have
and I've
multiple
already
characters yet? I
no,
don't
I
remember.
only had one character in Xbox One. I made a Warlock and a Titan, and I played through like the first mission with them, and that was it.
And you're like, no, I'm not doing this again.
Exactly. Then I was just like, no, screw this. I'll stick with the Hunter, and it's the same thing in the PS4 version, at least for me. But there are people willing to do that replay. There you
Hello.
go, Michael. Right there.
I had all three when House of Wolves came out. I had all three at max level. Was that a pain in my ass? Yes, it was. Will I ever do it again? No, no.
I think you would. I really think you would.
I haven't even done
Um,
the raid with either of my other characters in Destiny. I can't even do. They're at like 260, 270. I was like, I'm not doing this again. Fuck it.
I thought Mike was like this god when it came to Destiny, and then I played with him, and I found out that like,
Just reckless as shit.
yeah, I'm
I'm
like
just reckless as fuck.
we raid, and sure enough, Guardian down. He's like,
Combination of crappy internet connection and just see the problem is when I play with other people I'm like they got my back, I'm not too worried about dying, but when I play by myself I'm like nobody's got my back. If I die I die. Fuck, I gotta look out and be careful here. I'll just play
Mike,
differently.
Michael spawn. I used to joke around saying I was going to make a rule book for zombies. And
Mm-hmm.
one of my main rules that I learned from playing with Mike is you never trust anyone to watch your back. You could say watch my back. It doesn't mean it'll happen.
Mm-hmm.
The best part was Call of the Dead, Call of Duty Black Ops 1. Um I like cover me and Mike's like, "Okay, yeah, I got you." And then I get downed. And I'm like, Mike, where'd you go? He goes, oh, I'm at spawn. We're like, well, why are you at spawn? And I'm like, oh, because zombies were coming. I ran out. We're like, what? Like, why did you leave me? You didn't even give me a heads up you were leaving.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm going on a tangent again. As for replaying missions over and over again, as of right now, there's the story arc in the division is really small because there's not really all that many missions.
Yeah, they're split up between the different branches,
Yeah,
and they're
there's
all
not really
trying to do different things.
yeah,
So,
there's not really many missions. There were definitely more missions in Destiny to start than the division.
mm,
Um,
I
no,
don't
are
know
you
about that.
kidding me? Assuming that there were like
There's 26 missions in the division, 26
yeah, and
main
considering
missions.
there'd be like 6 to 8 on each planet plus strikes
Uh,
in
well, I
in
guess if
Destiny.
you count strikes, yeah.
What I'm saying, like, well, there's not really much something similar to strikes. I consider all of that like story arc,
Yeah, they don't
um,
really have
not
strikes in the
including the
division.
raid. Yeah. So, but the thing is, though, is do people want to
Hmm.
be? Like in Destiny, you keep going. There's not really much high level gear from what I can see so far in the division. There's a lot of high level gear.
Hmm.
There's much more variation. And playing the same thing over and over and over again, trying to get that piece of gear at the light level you need it is just tiresome.
Hmm.
Um, so
Sorry, I'm trying to count here.
it's okay. So even though Destiny had more missions to start, I'm going to give no points to Destiny, and I'm going to give half a point to the Division. Because even though they have less missions, there's still ways to go through and get that high level loot.
So the Destiny has 22 missions. That doesn't include strikes. If we're
Yeah,
including strikes, that has more than the division. Um,
I include
cause
strikes just because that's all still part of the story arc.
yeah. Well, to be here's how I feel about the side missions in the division feel like the regular missions in Destiny, and the missions in the division feel like strikes in Destiny, for the most
I
part.
think side missions feel really short,
That's what I'm
and
saying. They feel like the missions in Destiny. The missions in Destiny are generally short. They're like 10 minutes usually, 5 to 10 minutes. You can beat a mission
yeah,
if you're not dicking around and dying a lot. If you're just going from point A to point B, like I'm starting it, I'm just gonna mow down these enemies and get to the end. Usually, you can beat it in about 10 minutes if there's no boss. If you're just going doing your shit. Not the old ones. I'm talking about or not the new ones. The old ones. The old new ones. Yeah, the new ones are long. Um, so yeah, the reason I would say for replay I want to give Destiny point 0.5 because there is shit you have to do. I mean, you don't have to. You can if you want, like the raid and stuff like that. And the division doesn't seem like there's any incentive to go back and play the old missions. Oh, there
not
is
really.
one.
No.
There is one. I lied. Um,
What's one incentive?
when you reach max level and you beat the game,
Oh yeah, I know what
yeah,
you're gonna tell me.
you
You
can
can
go
go
back and
through
replay on
and do
challenging,
all missions on a challenge mode.
and they
So that
drop super. I guess they drop really good rewards according to people that have done it. I haven't done it, so I don't know.
um,
So I'm
so
gonna give them
that's
point
just
0.5 each.
that's. But the only reason I'm not giving anything to Destiny is because I feel like in order to get everything you need in Destiny, you need to do that replay value like 100 times. You need to do that
Mm-hmm.
replay like 100 times to get
Yeah,
it right.
you really do.
You really do. To get like one piece of armor, and in the division, you have a bunch of different high level armor
Mm-hmm.
and multiple ways to get it. So for the replay value, I'm just giving zero point 0.5 to the division. And now we reach the verdict. At least from keep in mind these are all personal.
Can I ask
We are
you
not what
for two more?
you could have given me the heads up beforehand.
I was trying to, but I didn't want to ruin your speech.
All right,
I
go.
wanted to
Well,
ask.
you interrupted me, so what does that even matter?
Well, I'm sorry because you were trying to wrap up here. I wanted to just talk about. Well, you talked about character customization, so I'm not gonna include that in what this is. I wanted to talk specifically about the way the class systems are,
Sure.
um, and then the way gear works,
Sure.
if that's okay.
Sure.
Um, So the class system in the division is as long as you upgrade all your shit, you can upgrade all your shit no matter what. Um, and one character can use any of the abilities and skills. Um, you can use two main skills, which are like turret, a healing pack. There's the shield. There's cover you can put down, and then there's a signature skill, which usually is a buff, or like it heals everyone and revives downed people all at once. And then there's the one that increases everybody's defense and speed. I forget what the electronic one is, but so there's that, and then Destiny has three classes with three subclasses now. But there's like there's no healing aspect. Um,
Well, that's just from a different kind of health system,
yeah, yeah,
though.
yeah. But um, it well the health system in Destiny is just across the board usually the same. I mean the Titans take the most damage, and then Warlocks seem like they just drop easy. Um, but the division has one character can do everything, whereas you have to go back and recreate for Destiny if you want. Usually people just pick one and stay with it. And there's decent diversity, but not a lot. I would feel like because a lot of the classes just kind of steal shit from each other. You know what I mean? Like some of I think the Arc one in the Wizards uses some of the Arc stuff from the Hunter. The Hunter uses some of the Void stuff from the Void Walker.
Mhm.
Things like that. They all kind of like use stuff in their different classes. It seems like.
But there is still a decent amount of division. Huh.
Yeah. So I
Uh,
mean, there's diversity, but it does kind of bum me out that I have to go back and make multiple characters, and it doesn't really seem like they're that different. You know what I mean? I mean, they play different, sure, but not to an extreme extent. Like in the Division, if you set up your character to be a healer, you're just gonna take mass damage and help heal everybody while throwing nades, basically.
yeah.
And if you're a tank, you're just going in there and you're just gonna soak up massive damage, do a shit ton of damage back. So and you're
All
gonna
right.
have like the shield and the turrets. So
I will give point 0.5 to Destiny for that.
I would say 0.5 only because they don't seem as diverse as they want them to be. And then
What's your last point?
the last one I want to talk about was gear, specifically how the gear affects your stats and how gear looks. Because your gear in Destiny is directly linked to your appearance, which a lot of people don't like,
And in the division, it's
and
definitely
it's
different.
not.
You have your visible armor, or you have your look, and then your armor.
Mm-hmm. And it's I mean they've tried to make it better, but not by much. I mean, they
Uh,
have the absorption thing they have in Destiny now, where you take the old or the better gear and absorb it, but it doesn't work. All the like if I have 316 and the gear's 320, it only goes up to 318 or 319.
yeah. I've found that it usually goes up by 6 maximum.
Okay.
When you absorb something. So yeah, it doesn't average it perfect. It doesn't even average it. It just you absorb it and you hope for the best. Um,
Yeah, it kind of sucks. 'Cause it's randomized. Sometimes you only get 2 points, and it's like what the fuck. And most of the characters all look the fucking same. Like all the Titans look exactly the same. All the Hunters look the same
uh,
for the most part.
I like to think that my character looks a little different.
True.
Just because I do use one piece of raid gear. I use the Dark Hollow mantles.
The boots.
Those are the or Dark Hollow. Yeah, I think the Dark Hollow mantles are the gauntlets for the hunter.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I don't like I said, I haven't played Destiny once, so I don't know.
Um, but that is the only piece of raid gear that I use. Ideally, my favorite cloak is the Hood of the Spawn, which is the red cloak you can buy from Eris. It's a year or it's a dark below
Mm-hmm.
piece of armor, and so I can't upgrade it.
See
They
that
didn't they didn't bring a year two version of it.
it's your appearance isn't future proof. So if
Yeah,
you really like something, sucks to be you. The only time you can use it is in Crucible,
yeah.
and even then you can't use it in level advantage Crucible. So it sucks. Like it, I don't know. I don't like the division. It's like once you get a look, you like that look, you keep it forever. It don't matter. You don't like that look anymore. You just change out some shit with other shit you have,
Exactly.
and
So
it's fairly generous with the drops for
I'm
appearance. Go ahead.
I am going to give this 1 point to the division.
I would give one for the division, 0.5 for
Yep, I
Destiny,
was just about saying then 0.5 for
because they
Dust.
try. They really do.
All right, and then the verdict that we come to is we have the division, at least for me, coming out on top at 1.5 points. From Destiny with 4 to the division 5.5. What was your score?
Hold on one second.
Mike says
One,
I'm
two,
not.
three, four,
I don't do
five,
the math well.
6.5. No, I know the. I gave Destiny 4 and the Division 6.5.
Oh wow, so you're a whole point ahead of me.
Yeah, I was fairly generous with some
Yeah,
of the
you're more
things I made
generous
it.
with points. But anyway, so that's basically it for our for as of right now. As the division develops, this video may have been just a little bit early because the division really hasn't developed into what mark it's really going to make.
Mm-hmm.
At least not yet. Everyone thought Destiny was the coolest thing ever right when it came out as they were first starting to play through it,
And then
and
we burned
now
ourselves out.
and then they burnt themselves out. And for all we know, the division could wind up the exact same way.
True.
Um,
I hope it doesn't.
I hope it doesn't either, but only time will tell.
True.
But anyway, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you think we suck.
Please
Let
don't,
us
Joey.
know. Let us know anything. I definitely plan to. I have spring break coming up next week. I definitely
Cool.
plan to do a division video and maybe a Call of Duty video or two.
Oh yeah, we never did that. Should probably
Um,
do that.
I really want to do a division video. Um, it's just going to be me playing through a story. Um, I am in no way a professional, so think of this as a what not to do guide.
There you go.
And anyway, so go into listing, check out our other videos, and we will see you in our next news podcast
On Friday
on Friday.
after GDC. Okay, goodbye.
See you. Bye.